7 weeks to election 2024. Have you decided who you're voting for? There's a very interesting article in the Graphic Center spread this morning, which I want us to touch on briefly. How well will independents do? You know, our elections have been duopolized. NDC, NPP dominating. There's a very interesting article where they've given a regional summary of political parties who have filed for parliament. Can you guess how many people are going independent? Or how many independent parliamentary candidates we have? For the president, I think we have about 4 independents, right? And a few small parties, or parties which are not in parliament, for want of a better word. Now, we have 276 constituencies with 801 candidates.
I see.
So that's about roughly 3 to 4 candidates per constituency. Okay. Guess how many of them are independent candidates?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know, about 50?
Take another guess.
75.
No.
It looks like I'm way short of the number.
Yeah, keep going.
So about 120.
You are close. 111.
Oh, 111.
Which is interesting because, you know, for a long time we've had smaller parties or parties like CPP, PPP and co. For this election, I don't see a lot of, for example, if you look at NDC and NPP, they both have 276, of course.
The constituency.
So NDC and NPP are contesting everywhere.
Yes.
All right. So Amenfi Central, the candidate has been disqualified. So for now it's 276. I'm sure 275. All right. But the two parties, leading parties, have people everywhere. Now some of the political parties, like GCPP, can you guess how many parliamentary candidates they are fielding?
Certainly not 0.
No, nobody's fielding 0.
Okay. So about 5.
Charlie, 3. No, seriously.
I also think
a whole political party with only 3 people.
So if you take away the NDC and NPP, what's the largest number? What's the biggest number?
Good. That's a good question. So the biggest party, as I say, is of course independents 111. All the parties are smaller. So for example, you take CPP. Guess how many candidates they have?
5.
18. In 275 constituencies. Okay. Now take GCPP 3. Can you guess how many PNC has?
PNC would usually concentrate per history. They would usually concentrate up north. So let's say 5.
Why do you keep saying 5? It's 30.
30?
30.
That's a large number.
Bro, 275 constituencies.
I'm just saying, no, Bernard, if you take the PNC's
PNC as a party, this is Liman's PNC.
I'm just saying,
they got 10% of the votes in 1992.
Yes, and I'm saying that in context, really. If they present 30, I get it. Compared to 275, it's small.
Charlie, 30 constituencies. Imagine how many constituencies are even in Greater Accra? 34.
34.
And the whole PNC has only 30. No, like there's something going on in our politics that doesn't make sense. Look at the other one.
But Bernard, don't you think that financially they may not have the muscle to present candidates in 276 constituencies?
Nathan, they have a presidential candidate. We spend a lot of airtime on PNC, on CPP, and all these parties. We give them interviews every time. Bernard Mona will come on air and come and talk. The whole PNC has only 30 parliamentary candidates.
That's what I'm saying, that there could be reasons.
Look at another one. In fact, it's funny. The actually, so of all the parties,
which one's the largest? PNC.
PNC has 30. Then LPG has 29 as the second. CPP with all the noise have only 18. NDP have 17. Charlie, this is terrible.
Why is it terrible?
I mean, the duopolization of our politics has gotten to almost epidemic proportions. Like, think about it. NDC and NPP both have 275.
Yes.
Okay, with Amenfi Central to be decided.
Yeah.
The third category is independent.
Yes.
And I'm happy with that. 111. So that tells you that there are people who want to run but don't want to join parties, which also means that the parties are not seen as visible vehicles. If 111 people will file as independents, meanwhile we have how many parties? Look, apart from NDC and NPP. So let's assume independent candidates don't want the 2. They didn't see GCPP as viable. GFP, GUM, LPG, NDP, CPP, APC, PNC, PPP, PAG. PPP has 13. APC has 10. I mean, how?
What about the alliance?
GUM has 7.
What about
with all that? I mean, imagine GUM. GUM was I think GUM was third.
Yeah.
So they didn't build on it. So see, this is the thing. The politics seems to be like some seasonal game of convenience. It's not a conviction thing where I mean,
actually work.
Imagine Gumo. He was third last year. How many independent candidates? He has 7. Gum has 7. And his parliamentary candidates, there's 1 in the northeast, 1 in Savannah or something, and then 4 in Central. He doesn't even have a candidate in Greater Accra. So what happened to all the people he was with last time? Maybe the EC should change the law. No. And think about it too. On the presidential ballot, you had as many as 21 people wanting to be president.
Yeah.
The EC whittled it down to 14 or 13.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all these political parties cannot even fill 10 people.
Which is
How, I mean,
but that is
are we a serious country?
But that is why questions have been raised about whether the EC actually runs the rule over these so-called political parties properly.
Yeah.
Because they seem to do the barest minimum to qualify.
Charlie, and it looks like the business in town is to get the candidate to be on the presidential ballot.
Yeah.
That's so the whole party is built around getting somebody who wants to be if you can't build, and again I have to be careful here, right? I know you can win as an independent candidate, but for me, a political party that has been in existence for 20 years, that has been in the news for all this while, can field only 7 candidates. The whole country. No, Charlie, no. It's Charlie. You see, it
The
doesn't.
NPP and NDC did their homework well.
I don't even think it's NPP and NDC. I think a lot of people who claim they want change from the duopoly don't want to invest in it. We want change with our mouth. The truth is that NPP, NDC, they actually do the work.
Yes.
A lot of the people who claim
which includes making sure that smaller parties don't grow.
Bro,
that is part of the work.
There are 111. See, there are 111 people who want to be independent candidates in Parliament, and then look at this regional spread. So in fact, if you look at every region, the number 3 category is independent for every region.
Yes.
Fair.
When you do a drill down of those independent candidates,
You find
how many of them
are truly independent.
and have links.
Well, the only 3 we know who have come from a party are Cynthia Morrison, who the court is trying to debar, Peter Kwache Aka of NDC, and then Kojo Asante of NPP. So those are the 3 high-profile independent candidates who have moved. The rest may be disgruntled, others that have not. But
the question I want to ask also: have we ever had a truly independent MP?
Well,
without I'm just asking, without a link to NPP, NDC,
the rule says,
disgruntled, whichever.
What I know is that the rule says that you have to join majority or minority, but you can be an independent.
No, I'm just saying, not in Parliament, contested as a pure independent on the basis of I am an independent and won the election. I don't remember.
Are you talking parliamentary?
Parliamentary, yes.
Well, you're right. What typically happens is that the person may have been disqualified and they felt unjustly treated.
Yes.
And then they go independent, and then the party supporters for one side supports them.
But right. I don't think in this 4th Republican democracy we have practiced, we've had a truly independent parliamentary candidate win a seat.
No, we can review that. We probably can review that, but
no, it will be easy to know the person. We haven't had one.
So the political party vehicle is still, but I mean, for me, the 111 independents I see on this the spreadsheet
tells
me that there are people who want to offer an alternative to the 2 leading parties, but do not find any viable political party, and therefore will go on their own.
Okay.
All right. So that's the conclusion. The other point is, doesn't the EC have to get its act together in terms of making sure these parties do the right thing? Because how do you have a whole PNC, In fact, the CPP once if it hurts me. CPP
go to the CPP
18.
The whole country.
Bono region 0, Ashanti 4, Upper East 0, Greater Accra 7, Savannah 0, Eastern 3, North East 0, Northern 1. CPP pound Northern 1, OT 0, Upper West 0.
The CPP hasn't been a proper party
Western
since
Upper West 1.
96?
Western 1. Okay, Western 1, right? Upper West 0, Western 1. Bono is 0, Ahafo 0. Central 1. CPP, Central and Western.
Imagine
Imagine Central region.
The Western and Central again. Central one, Western what?
CPP has one parliamentary candidate in the Western region and one parliamentary candidate in the Central region.
They should shut down the party.
Vote at 0.
They should shut the party down.
No. Question to Ghanaians: would you vote for an independent candidate? Would you vote for an independent candidate? So, like, on the
Who is
president,
an independent candidate?
Alan is an independent candidate. Cheddar is possibly an independent candidate.
Is Alan an independent candidate?
Yeah.
Properly?
As defined by who? Okay, wait. Is there a dictionary of politics that says an independent candidate cannot have roots in another party?
Oh no, you can't.
An independent candidate is a party. Somebody who says Alan is independent. Cheddar is independent.
No, Alan has his own party.
Yeah, but he decided to run as an independent candidate because he says that a party vehicle does not help him. So when I interviewed him, he said the reason he wants to be independent is that he believes that he can then bring people from all sides together. But if he forms a party, he's limited to his party. So independent is like we are saying, even if somebody's good in NDC or NPP, they can work with me. That's his argument. Which is, and Cheddar to
so the Afafrato movement is not a political party.
It's a vehicle for organization, but it's not a political party properly so called.
So
he's going to say that's why some.
So they don't have structures.
You see, which is why some other groups came and said he will be their candidate, because there were other groups that also wanted to put up a candidate, and they came and said. So I think like Abu Sakare's group, they said we are also an independent group, so we will support Alan.
Okay.
Now my point is, NDC and NPP have dominated our policies for long. The appetite for independent candidates suggests that there are still people who feel that there should be some sort of alternative, and yet they don't see any political party. You are claiming is because the NDC and NPP have decimated those parties. Well, that's neither here nor there, because if they themselves can even unite, I mean, look at small parties, they are still fighting. A party has maybe, you have 30 candidates in parliament, and yet you can't even have one meeting to elect a flag bearer without confusion. You get it? I don't know whether we should blame the leading parties for this. For me, it also shows the mindset. Right, a lot of them want to ride on either dislike for one of the main parties or support for the other, which is not really independent. Okay, the question to listeners is: would you vote for an independent candidate, even for parliamentary? All right, would you vote even for parliamentary? Now, the analysis the graphic has done suggests that independent candidates may impact the texture of the parliamentary majority or minority, because if, for example, these 4 people who are here, if they actually go, they will definitely impact the chances of their leading their existing parties. Okay, it's possible. I've seen some high-profile independents, like what's the name? A+. He's going independent. I think in the Central region, there are a few of them like that.
Truly independent.
Yeah, they basically don't want either of the two parties, or they want one more. They hate one less.
The concept of the independent candidate in our political,
but
architecture.
Is it a fair question? For example,
Okay,
I'm sitting here as a host of a program. All right, now I am supposed to be objective. I will definitely vote. Okay, now, what is independence? You see, we have to be careful when it comes to a political party issue. An independent candidate is a person who says, I'm running on my own ticket.
Yes.
I'm not running on a political party ticket. So let's leave the definition simplicity. Once you complicate it and say, because it's almost like saying that the parties not in parliament are affiliated to NDC or NPP, which is not necessarily true. Some of them may just be there to do what they want to do. Okay. My question though is that will people take a chance on an independent candidate?
People taking a chance on you means that people have to be sure that there are no links between you and the duopoly that they do not want in power. Which is why I'm saying you cannot do away with your roots, so-called.
But wait,
you need to convince the voting public.
I challenge the premise of your second point.
Okay.
People do not want the duopoly in power. People want the duopoly. I'm talking for parliament.
Okay. Yes. In parliament.
Since 1992, people have shown that they want the duopoly.
They want the duopoly, yes.
They've shown it by the way they vote. They can say anything they want to say, but they still vote for the duopoly. So we can conclude that people actually like NDC and NPP.
Yes.
It's just that they sometimes want to teach them a lesson, or they are not happy with them, but they really love the two parties.
Yes, but at the national...
But I'm talking of parliament.
Yes,
now.
but parliament is where I am interested in. I'm not, because I know that it is practically impossible for an independent candidate to win an election in this country
unless
for the next 100 years.
Unless something seismic happens.
Something of the highest changes this country But at the parliamentary level,
You are surprised that they've not been successful that much.
the name Hawa Ogede has come up, and I do concede that when she won in '92, she was clearly an independent.
There was also
Before she lost it,
there was also a guy who
circumstances.
nearly won in this constituency. He's called Terry Okuno. He even
Yes.
had TV adverts.
Yes.
He had a broom.
Yes.
But I'm told that it was as if he had left one of the party. He left NDC or something. I'm not sure. Something happened then. But he actually got. I remember that time when they counted the votes, MPP's Daku won with like 21,000. Terry Okuno had 17K, which was a lot of votes to have and he actually did TV commercials. So there haven't been that many independent candidates.
Yeah.
And maybe because they feel Ghanaians will not vote for them, and therefore it's easier to get into parliament by tying your coattails to a leading political party because their structures will help you, their legal team will speak for you. You get it. So it's, I don't know. But maybe Ghanaians themselves are not ready for an independent person. We have, or maybe nature itself is binary. Right? I don't know. Let me hear from you. By the way, if you are going to vote for an independent, you can send me a voice and I want to hear why. Maybe you want to vote for Alan, you want to vote for Cheddar, or you want to vote for APC, or you want to vote for something other than NDC or NPP, or you don't want to vote. All right. So I've had people write to me. I've had a group write to me to say they don't want to vote for any party and that they actually should be. In fact, somebody came to me and said there should even be a column on the ballot.
None of the above.
And it gained a bit of traction, but I'm not sure.
That means you don't even want the independence.
Basically, you're saying that they want to vote a protest vote against the establishment by saying that they don't want anybody, and that if the people see the number of people who vote none of the above, it will help them rethink the way they do their politics or something. I'm not sure where you sit on that. By the way, I want to hear from you. If you're going to take a chance, either presidential or parliamentary, away from the NDC or NPP, send me a voice note. So I just want to hear from those people. And for parliament as well, have you seen an independent candidate? You know, they'll say, yeah, I voted for a PPP. Independent. A PPP. Parliamentary guy. It'd be like the whole constituency. You'd be like, well, I 17. I said, oh, Aloski, Charlie, serious, oh. PPP. I think that they were Broom or Sunshine or something. This was for parliament too, Charlie.
I see.
Yeah, I got like a few brooms. Will you vote for anybody outside NDC MPP? Send me a voice. I want to hear anybody who will do this for president or parliament and why. Number 2, are you part of the group that says none of the above? And for those texting, I want you to tell me what we should do to parties that can't even field 50 parliamentary candidates. Seriously.
But have fielded the presidential candidate.
You can field the presidential candidate and you cannot. CPP and 18. Come increment CPP.
Nathan, check for us the previous elections. What numbers they
We can find this.
The CPP and the PNC.
In terms of what?
Parliament.
In fact,
The candidates they fielded.
in fact,
Candidates.
Kofi Apalu's LPG self has more.
How many candidates does he
He
have?
has 29. So if you put him to, he has more than NDP. He has more than CPP. The only party, the third largest party is PNC on the basis of this. They have 30, and the Kofi Apalu has 29. CPP has 18, NDP has 17.
But PNC don't have a candidate in the presidential.
Oh my God. Bernard Mona.
Bernard Mona
Oh Lord.
Did not make the final ballot.
It looks like
But it's independent, truly independent.
that's the $1 million question. All right, Godfrey, read a few quick comments from me before Nathan brings us to social media trends.
Go.
On this
Abe could help me out.
low number of,
Okay, so somebody, Kofi Intama brings up Hawa Yakubu Ogede, 92, before she joined the NPP later on.
So she actually won.
She won, yes, but
won.
then they did some co-mininis.
So she joined the. Yes, she won.
Yes, she won in 92.
She won. So she was in the 93 parliament
Yes.
as an independent candidate.
Hello, Bernard. You are right about the number of MPs standing for the smaller parties in the constituencies. Hawa Yakubu was truly independent when she won her seat. Yes, we have all come to accept that.
Yeah.
Bernard, the independence candidate for Asin South, Mr. Damche, was a member of the NPP. He was disqualified during their internal primaries in 2019. He has run as an independent candidate in 2020, and he is back. This is Obo from Ejuma Kon. Good morning, Bernard and team. I strongly don't think there's any independent candidate in Ghana. All those posing as independents win the election and go to parliament and align with one party or the other. They have never shared an independent view on any matter. Godfred is right. Kofi Abua Amasaman. Bernard, I think anyone who wants to be president of Ghana should carry himself well to attract votes. Seriously speaking, do you think we will elect a president who will be representing the soul of the nation locally and internationally? Okay, this one, wearing a beret. Okay, this Adolf seems to think that president should not wear a beret. Actually, I believe the option of none of the above should be included on ballot papers. Honestly, it may not be very visible, but Ghanaians are tired of the two.
Well, if they are tired, they've been voting for them heavily. Look, if you, I have the chart I've been showing. NDC NPP have moved from like 92% to almost 99%.
Yes.
So obviously Ghanaians like the two parties. There's a very interesting text message here.
Read it to me.
I am not voting anymore.
Why?
I've voted NPP all my life, but I've decided to vote by driving from Takrady to KNUST to vote. No, I will vote for all the candidates except NDC and NPP. I don't understand what you're saying, bro.
So you're saying that he's going, wherever he finds an independent, he's voting.
He will vote for independent.
Yes.
I always say that if you say you won't vote, it's a vote.
Yes.
Because if you are a regular voter for a political party and you say you will not vote, you voted for somebody else. And I'm not encouraging people to vote if they say they won't vote. I'm just saying that saying you will not vote does not solve the problem. And some people say they want to vote for none of the above. I'm not sure how that helps. Right? But yeah, some of them are prepared to defend that. Speaking of which, we'll turn our attention to some interesting issues. There's a court case which has led the EC to say that one candidate for Memphis Central, Joanna Kuju, should be disqualified. Now, that's leading to a lot of controversy. We'll deal with that when we come back. Now, here are two comments that I think put the issue in perspective. This one says, the first past the post system is responsible for the situation you are describing regarding the inability of so-called smaller parties to field candidates. Let's have a proper debate on this issue. Proportional representation would change the situation completely. And then here's another one. Senior Bernard, I interacted with quite a number of people who agree somehow that we must bring an end to the duopoly. The issue, however, is that they do not see other credible alternatives, and a vote for anyone other than NDC or NPP will be a waste of their vote. They now resort to choosing the lesser of the two devils, which is either NDC or NPP, depending on the year. This is the reality and the musical chairs between NDC and NPP, and it will go on for some time until something drastic happens. This is from Blessed Benny. A few more comments on this issue.
Okay, good morning, Bernard and team. God bless you. I'm Israel. In fact, I'm not voting anymore. If I vote, it will be for the smaller parties. The two big parties have taken us for granted for far too long. Bernard and team, good morning. If we are not a serious country, will we allow some of these jokes in our politics? I think structure should be put in place for political parties and independent candidates to meet. How do you file for presidency and not be able to have a good number of your people go for parliamentary seats? Should you become president, will all your actions be vetoed? You can even have a fair representation in parliament. We are a big... okay, he's not very... The general salutes. He's not very happy this morning. General, but you can say things without getting too upset.
Is this a big joke?
Bernard and...
No, but he, to be fair, his point is that people claim they want a change, but they always vote for the two, or one of the two.
Bernard and team, I don't know what system of governance this suggestion will be, but I think we can try it. Okay, let's see this. We already have a national development plan. Let's improve, update it. Set a committee, perhaps 10 members. This committee can comprise of Baumia, Mahama, Cheddar, Sahes or CSOs, etc. So that's not a problem. Citizens can vote for MPs to fill parliament, give them the development plan and ask them to follow. No individual manifesto. At every SONA, they should tell us where we are with the plan. If they then need resources of any form, they tell us and mandate us to give. Let's do this for 10 years and revert to the current style of governance. Things might have leveled up by then.
You know, I heard Frank Edu say something like that. He said presidential elections are too divisive and too costly, and that we should have a sort of agreement between the two parties and then just vote for parliament.
Agreement between the two parties? Because
we have a development. We have a development plan, so we just have some arrangement for people to lead, and that we should really spend our time voting for parliamentary candidates. For development is local. because the presidential election is too expensive, it's too costly, and by the time they do the election, the amount of money they spend, they will look for money to. When they win power, they have to look for money to pay all the people they owe. So his point was that the cost of presidential elections and the way it divides the country does not help, and that what we need as a country at this stage is consistency in development. So your development plan is there. There's some continuity required. So, for example, this government is doing hospitals at Ajadamawan. Whoever wins should continue. It should have been something the Constitution asked us to do. Some people have that view that maybe we should rather be thinking about just parliamentary rotation, not presidential. I don't know.
Well, Edem from Adenta says, "Good morning, Bernard. The idea of a third force or independent candidate is at the moment a fanciful one. They need to invest in developing structures and political talent before they can make a proper run. The NPP and NDC have the institutional knowledge that gives them an advantage the other parties will not have."
Okay.
Good morning, City. I won't vote for anyone because they are all the same. I've been an unemployed graduate for 8 years because no one seems to know me.
So, but how does not voting help you? That's what I'm trying to ask him. Like, so you say you won't vote. Would that mean you get a job? Why don't you rather take your chance on somebody else? Maybe, okay, fine. You think the two parties can help you, but there are other people.
Yeah.
So why don't you say, okay, let me vote for a third person to see if he will help me? But you are saying you won't vote.
Okay.
You know, I don't get it.
It says voting for independence is not the problem. What machinery will they use to run the country? When the duopoly rely on party members to appoint to other positions, who will the independent candidates appoint? The duopoly wins because people also vote due to their proximity to power. That is, MPs, family members, etc. Independent candidacy is not the way to go.
Interesting angle. So,
Bernard,
who will they work with?
Even if we vote for independent candidates, they go to parliament and are required to be aligned to the albatrosses NDC and NPP. If they are allowed to perform their responsibilities independently, we'll definitely vote for them, Tony. I will not vote for anyone or party, whether presidential or parliamentary, because I do not see a single credible individual who genuinely has the nation's well-being at heart. Every one of them fielding now wants to enrich themselves first. I see all of them as greedy. I think a boycott of the election is the least non-violent protest to bring about change.
I want to understand how boycotting the election or voting none of the above or not voting can change your status quo. Maybe there's a sort of roadmap to that. So so we don't vote, and then what? What I know about politicians is that even if 20% of the people vote, they will count it, and the winner will
run the
get
country.
So I think, I don't know. People, okay, fine, I'll play that. Those of you who are for I won't vote or none of the above, I want you to explain it to me how it works, because I'm trying to understand. I don't get it. Let's hear some audios. Maybe that will help to explain this. But keep sending your messages. 054-998-6996. Let me repeat the number. 054-998-6996. Now send a voice note. Simply just, of course, you not send voice notes, right? Pick up your phone.
Is a very common.
Okay, so number one, save this number on your phone as City WhatsApp. Very important. 054-998-6996. Now, when you save it, go to the contact, and then you, depending on the kind of phone you have, you just put your finger long press on the mic icon, and then you raise it. When you raise it, it starts recording, and you talk. When you finish, you stop, and then you send. It will get to me. I'll air it during the show. So, would you vote for any party other than NDC or NPP? Let me know. This is for presidential or parliamentary. Do you belong to the camp of those who say they wouldn't vote or they want none of the above? I also want to hear from you. Send me a voice note on 054-998-6996.
Is also a vote. I cannot in good conscience vote for any of the two main parties, because I believe our problem in Ghana is constantly, I don't want to say they are the cause, because I don't think they are the cause, but the current structures they both have, the systems they both represent, fuels our problem, keeps on a daily basis encouraging our problems. I don't know if you get me. For example, whoever they present has been chosen out of a system, and if the system is already flawed, in the sense that people are, look at this whole Galamsey fight. There's this notion that our leaders cannot do much because the people funding them are funding them with Galamsey money. I know we can't prove it, nobody can prove it, and I can't prove it, but there's this notion. You get me? So the systems they both represent are fueling our problem as a country. And so for me to vote for them, I feel like it's a vote in saying, I think, even if I don't think they are our savior, I feel like a vote for either of them is a vote saying, I like what they are doing. I don't know if you get me. And for the new ones coming up, ironically, I also think so far none of them have been able to prove that they have the structure and the fortitude. Look, the truth is that anybody who takes over Ghana right now as the president needs to be strong-willed. I don't know the best way to explain it. You get it? Because you will not just be fighting ancient systems, you'll be fighting cultural practices that have fueled these systems. You get it?
Good morning, Bernard and the team. God bless you people for the great work you are doing. Yeah, about your question, would I vote for an independent candidate? Nope, because they haven't shown that they are serious. No, they have not shown. The only candidate that at a point I felt could have made a difference was how could say Indom, and we know how it's ended. Everything about him now is a history. The rest, you don't see any seriousness about them. As for the parliamentary candidate who come on a ticket of independence, well, I think they'd only do that because they probably initially didn't get the opportunity to break into either of the political parties, NDC and NPP. So they come, register themselves, people get to know them, then the subsequent one, they find themselves representing one of the parties, and then they eventually win. So I'll cite Esojamai, my constituency, as an example. Osofo, I think he's late now. He came as an independent candidate, I think in the 2008 election or so, and then he didn't win. In 2012, he came as an NDC person. He got the opportunity to represent the NDC, and eventually became the MP of Sojaman district in I think the year 2012 or so, if my memory serves me right. So that has been the trajectory. That's what most of them do. So because they are unable to break into the current status quo, I mean the current political parties, they tend to come as an independent candidate, and then eventually find themselves their way into the political party as their candidate, and they eventually win. So that is what they do. As for the presidential candidate, they should be serious. If so, we will keep on voting for this NDC NPP. And I also have a feeling that they are not even different from any other person. Yes, because I see the whole political class as a subset of the general populace. The way we were brought up, the way we were taught how to do our things is what they are exhibiting up there. So even if I find myself there, I might also find myself doing what they are doing up there. So it is not different. So as the saying goes, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. So let the two be there and be doing their own things.
Good morning, Bernard and team. I think you're doing a very great job. The issues with CPP doesn't really have any major issue. The issue with CPP has to do with disunity, and then they don't have a strategic marketing plan how to sell, because there are a lot of things I may say Kwame Nkrumah has done that if CPP can stand on those things, people will be willing to go to parliament on CPP tickets. Reason being this, there is no region in this country that you will never find a signature of Kwame Nkrumah, whether dead or still alive, whether that thing is still functioning or not. You can point hand at one. For that matter, if they even get single person from each region, you can tell that they can have at least 16. Now that we have 16 regions, they can have about 16 people going to trying to go to parliament on the ticket of CPP. It's a very strategic vehicle, but just that they don't know, they don't have any strategic marketing plan how to sell the CPP as a political party. That has been the woes of this party. But if you get very strategic people, trust me, who understand what marketing is, or how to communicate, you will see. Come to Accra, you will find one. Go to Akosombo, you will find one. Go to Koforidua, you will find one. Go to Uvota, you will find one. Anywhere you go across the country, you find something that Kwame Nkrumah did, and it's a vehicle on which they can stand to sell this party. But they are failing in that regard. They don't know how to do it.
Broken by a very well-known flame. There is no more heart.
No, Bernard, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for your hard work and greater job you're doing for Ghana. To me personally, I'm blessed for having CDFM. All your programs are amazing and they are keeping me going. Bernard, me, Isaac, I'm not going to vote. Never and ever. You know what? I live in Damfar and these people
It's like having your heart broken.
who has left a road in the bad state until recently. Election is coming on and they started to create our road for us. But is it not terrible? These people are playing and joking with their hearts. God is watching them. God bless you.
We are blinded by showmanship of the candidate. We are to blame, really. Who hunts?
All right, we want to get your voice notes, but I notice a few of you are calling the number. The number is just for you to send the message to, because when you call, it disrupts the people who are sending their messages or the messages we are airing. And we want to hear from you, all right? So far, I'm getting a lot of the... So I've asked two questions. You are going to vote for somebody other than NDC or NPP, or you are going to say you don't want to vote, or you want none of the above. There's a school of thought. But these are all still saying they don't like the duopoly. Okay, so I want you to talk to me, explain to me your frustration on why you don't want to vote for either of the two parties, why you will vote for an independent, which independent you will vote for, presidential, parliamentary. I just want to hear. The number is 05499869996. We've given the mic back to you to talk to us. So here goes.
Bernard, when you are part of the people that select a particular party and the party come and disappoint you, you get more disappointed than not being part of that. So once people resolve that they are not voting, it means that they will not care whatever that person who wins does. That is the position. Because if they were part of it, they had high hopes for this person, and the person come and disappoint them just like they all do. Then they get really more disappointed than not being part of the people who selected that particular president. So that is why people say it's not as if they are going to the economic position or whatever is going through their life is going to change. But then, since they were not part of the people that made that person the president, they wouldn't really care.
Bernard, the no vote group 1, the two parties will not do anything to help us, as they have proved time without number that they cannot. So, reasons why I'm not voting: 1, I would use the time to do something that is meaningful. 2, I'll have to take transport. I would save that TNT. 3, my finger that will be immersed in that ink may have health implications that I would avoid. And 4, I would know that I did not participate in electing a certain party or president who would come and mess this country or make this country worse off or something like that.
Hello, Mr. Able. Well, I wish I could vote for any of these smaller parties, but I am actually for the lesser evil theory. So I look at NPP, NDC, and actually decide which of them will be the lesser evil, because on a more serious note, none of them will come and the country will return to its glory days. They will come and steal. But I will actually look at the one who will steal less, and still the country, the masses of the people will benefit and vote for that party. But I'm praying for a day that these smaller parties will join force so that it will actually become a credible third force. Then I will then decide to vote for such a force. Thank you.
Good morning, City. And a big thank you to Bernard and your team for the good work that you are doing. Please, City, if you can find us a very nice political party, we will be very happy, and we will vote massively for that party. Because as it stands now, the two main political parties haven't helped us in any way. In fact, they are the main cause of what the nation is going through, both the NDC and the NPP. So please, City, if you can find us a political party that would be very sincere and genuine, we will vote massively for that party. Thank you, Bernard.
Now, do you know what I just discovered?
What did you just discover? I saw you working your calculator like Loki.
So there are 801 parliamentary candidates contesting for 276 seats.
Yes.
NDC have 276, NPP have 276.
Yes.
When I added the figure for the other parties plus the independent, guess how many I got?
How many?
248.
Oh.
So if you put independents and all the parties together apart from the two, you have 248. Of course, some of them may be competing against each other.
Yes.
But 248 is not a bad number.
At all.
NDC has 276, MPP has 276, this has 248. So if they came together and strategically said we're going to target certain constituencies, who knows? 248 is not bad, but of course there are overlaps there. Anyway, let's hear more comments. And I know you are taking notes, right? Somebody was saying, I know they will both come and steal, but somebody will steal less. And you are
how did you know who steal less?
I don't even know, Charlie. All right, let's hear more comments on this issue.
Anna, good morning. As for me, I will vote. In 2016, I was more of, Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, they'll change our fortunes. But by 2020, we realized that no. So yes, for me, I will vote. I will vote for the NDC because I think that they are the lesser of the two evils. And I am not ready to vote for anybody to experiment with our economy. Yes, a few people have experiences, but when you listen to Bawumia before 2016, the kind of things they were saying, and the reality, I feel we need a more experienced hands to manage us out of this mess. Ghana really, really needs a reset right from the mouth.
Manamo tobe wano contemporary nipa benye adwumaye esika beba mobutum bibia kamoma ene mabusia.
Good morning, Bernard and the team. Good morning. Okay, so for me, I think that is a very simple question for me. You look at all the other smaller political parties, right? Even on the day of elections, there's a very important question we need to ask ourselves. Do they have enough polling agents across all constituencies, across all polling units to be able to police the ballots? The truth of the matter, and I think that Godfred touched on it, the truth of the matter is that, and it's only the NPP and the NDC who have got the resources. Even look at the number of party offices they have at the regional level and at the constituency level. The smaller political parties do not have that level of financial muscle to be able to put together and then across the country the kind of infrastructure and the political machinery that it's needed. So why would you want to vote for say political party Z when you have an understanding that it doesn't even have the resources to be able to even employ more than 35,000 plus polling agents across all, across the country to be able to police. So sometimes, yes, we understand that the NPP and the NDC haven't done as good, but just like you said, it's also about the proximity to power. Who has the chance of winning the elections? The other smaller political parties, I do not think they have. Thank you.
Hello, Bernard. Good morning. I would like to vote for Cheddar. Yes. If we are only going to use the manifestos that the various political parties presented, I'm going to vote for Cheddar. If manifesto, I reiterate, if manifesto is the basis for this election. Thank you.
Hello, Bernard. Honestly, I find it very difficult to vote for what I do not believe in. I do not believe in any of the major parties. And then voting for any of the minor ones certainly will not lead anywhere. So I will not waste my time.
Never get a dime. It's like having your heart broken by a very well-known flame. Really, there is no more heart to even break. And when it is election.
Hello, City. This is Francis from Boche. Well, looking at all the alternatives we've had over the years, you agree with me that not even one independent candidate had presented any serious and viable solution and alternative to all that we say is not good. They come in as a joke, and that is how it has always been. Look at the little political parties we have, CPP, PNC, and the rest. Look at them, look at their structures. Look at how they keep making mockery of themselves almost every year. Every election time, there is always a breakaway from one of these parties. There is always a court case. They are always not getting their things right. How can they become an alternative? How can they become an alternative? And the little ones, the other parties that have been formed, we all know that they are appendages of the various political parties. They have been planted there to do the bidding of the big political parties, and this is a system that we close our eyes and we pretend that they are just there. They are political parties. Look at them. They cannot even file. They don't have structures across the country. I wonder how they even get their documents signed, So I don't want to go far, but it's not about NDC, NPP. I think that we just need the citizen to arise and demand accountability from any of these people. We need to hold them responsible, just like we want to do now. Thank you.
Good morning, Bernard and T. I think that I will prefer to vote for the NPP. This is because Ghana is in a difficult moment. It's in a difficult place, and we need something that will really help us. Granted that the NPP has been in government and we have found ourselves in this state, I also think that the candidate for the NPP has been proposing interesting ideas that will help transform the economy. The reason why I choose to vote for the NPP is the fact that the NDC has not been convincing for me as to how they want to turn the fortunes of the economy, except to say that we will come and review, we will come and change this. Whatever NPP has been saying or doing, they just think the other way around will give them power. And it is interesting that they don't propose any concrete policies that will help transform the economy, except to just play on the gallery, try to sway people to just vote for them. Seriously, John Mama and the NDC, they are not proposing anything that will convince me to vote for them. I think Dr. Bahmudu Baumia will be better than John Mahama because he's been proposing a lot of interesting things. Thank you.
All right, a few more comments before I come back to your voice notes. This is the City Breakfast Show. Throwing the question right back at you. Those who say they are tired of the duopoly, who would you vote for? President, parliamentary. Those who say you won't vote at all, why? Those who say you want none of the above, let's hear you. Here's somebody who's worked within one of the so-called smaller parties, and it's a long message, but I'll read it. It says, Ghanaians hold the smaller parties to a higher standard than they do the two whose mediocre standards they have accepted since 1992. The so-called smaller parties have not had the opportunity to be in power. They must start from somewhere. A few members of parliament or candidates, a small percentage of wins to start with. But they must grow. A third force cannot suddenly emerge and win without the support of the people who say they want a third force. How much do they truly want a third force? Ghanaians must take responsibility for their governance. What part do you have to play in creating the third force that you say you want? We can't sit back and expect the third force to emerge out of some people somewhere. We want a third force. Help create it. Be a candidate, support a candidate, campaign for the candidate, speak up, vote for them because you want the third force to emerge, not simply because they have to win at one. It's a journey. The truth is that the two major parties are now in bed with one another. Most of the minority parties have been bought by the two. Elections have become a personal money-making venture for them. Long message. All right. All right, yeah. I'll read a few more shortly, but you see where the thing is going. So initially, people say I won't vote or I'll vote for whatever, but it's looking like the divide forces people to make a choice. So it's all like a reluctant choice. So a couple of guys, once I vote for NDC, once I vote for NPP, and both admit that the vote may not be the best if you listen to both of them carefully, but they will eventually vote for one of the two because when they consider other things, they feel this one is better than the other one. All right. I think the point about the first past the post system is a point we should consider. Because in countries where proportional representation exists, even getting 10% is good enough to get a seat at the table. And I think it also prevents the winner takes all, which is a big problem. So I think
that might require reforms around the electoral laws to help independent parties or independent candidates have a bit more of a say. And then also our politics is not yet about ideas. Political parties are not built on ideas. Not yet here. And our voting populace, most of us are not followers of ideas. You understand? And so the text message you just read, if people that were the situation, people would support, people will find ways of understanding, okay, this is what this party is about.
So like Green Party.
So we imagine out there.
Imagine Stop Galamsey becoming a green movement. Because in advanced countries, there are parties that the only reason they do well in polls is because they support the green agenda. So imagine if the whole upswell around Stop Galamsey now,
environmental awareness, basically,
could sort of coalesce into some movement. The other point is we also don't have nuance in our party. Let me explain. So we have party sympathizers, we have party supporters, and then we have party fanatics. But in advanced societies, you have moderates of parties who identify as such. So, for example, yesterday, Kamala Harris was on Fox. Why was she on Fox? She was on Fox because she wanted to appeal to moderate Republicans. Because Republicans watch Fox.
Yes.
All right. And basically, Fox is Trump's amplifier. So she takes this risk of going to sit in this interview with this guy who's really like extreme Trump. Because her aim is to say, if I sound reasonable and convincing, Republicans who are not sure of Trump may come to me. I think the media needs to help to bring out such nuance in our politics. So, for example, we've done journalism for 15 to 20 years. There are issues where we should be able to say, okay, there's an NDC guy who's moderate on this, and there's an NPP guy who's moderate on this. So,
Let's put them on the table.
Because a lot of times we speak to the front benchers and the hardliners.
Yes.
But there are back benchers who have an alternative view.
Yeah.
So you could say free SHS, or whatever policy it is, right? There are people in one side who believe that this is how we should go. I think that nuance helps develop the political thing well. Because what we have now is that the parties whip people into line. And they all, and you see, and I think somebody said about our culture, we have not developed a certain way of, I can agree with you 70% and disagree with you 30%, but still be in the same class with you. It's almost like in Ghana, if I don't agree with you 100%, we cannot be in the same team. All right, so loyalty above all else. But Godfrey, you and I disagree on many things, but we're still on the same show. So maybe we need to help bring out that nuance. And the last point I wanted to make on the proportional representation, I think the people who helped draft the 92 Constitution, people who understand it, I think we should find a way of talking to them about an assessment of the first past the post system for 30 years. People like even your father, people who have been in that class, say, okay, guys, you've seen, and a lot of these guys I'm talking about saw Buzia, saw Echampong, saw Rawlings, so they really know Ghana's history. Maybe we should ask them, what are the merits of a proportional representation system in dealing with some of the problems we face? Do they think that we should introduce that? We should even discuss. All right, because this choiceless democracy people are talking about is because if you lose the election, for 4 years you have nothing else to do. But if you have a proportional representation, you could have some great minds who are, like, if you look at some countries where they form coalition governments, they are forced to what's the word they use? Compromise. And the reason our elections are always difficult is because there's no compromise. We don't understand.
Yeah, when I take everything.
You know? And I think that there are some cultural and social things we need to deal with. So we cannot break the duopoly if we don't change the way we think. Because we seem to think that once Nathan wears a blue shirt is NPP, one Godfrey wears a green shirt is NDC. So I won't talk to him about anything. All right. I feel like we need nuance and this whole grading of political, even MPs, you're able to grade them to say this guy, he's a hardliner. So, like, you know, in advanced countries, when they write a story about a politician, they will say this person is the MP Center for Georgia. He's a hardliner. This guy is a moderate because he's from Michigan, and Michigan, they are socially liberal, socially conservative, but whatever. We need to start because unless you do that, there's no richness. Because look, most issues, but it's either for or against.
But Bernard, the difficulty with that, in my estimation, is also the quality of our politicians. You see, because these people you talk about are able to express their moderate views or are able to express their hardline views and support it. And by support, I mean they'll support it with fact, if need be. Support it with dogma, if need be. Have you spoken to our politicians?
But is that not the cause of? It's a cause-effect issue. If there was nuance, because this is what's happening, because of the way the field is attracting the wrong people. The field, do you get my point? The field is attracting people who don't really have. I'm not saying every politician is bad. The point I'm making is that there are lots of people who are NDC or NPP who are sympathizers, but don't necessarily agree with everything the party does. But they don't feel like they have a place at the table. Look at the way the NDC leadership went to parliament to try and whip MPs into voting. Do you get it? Now, if you look at the way they did that, I feel that it's very demeaning of MPs. Okay? Now, that means that if you are thinking of being an MP, you are like, so I'm going to be in parliament and I won't be independent to think of what I want. Everything my party asks me to do, I'll do.
Do they want to?
Even if they did.
You are sponsored by your party to you campaign on their machine.
So it means I should put my brain in a box.
That is what basically you become.
No, but the party also needs my mind. You see, you always forget there's two things. I need the party's machine to win, but
the party does not need your mind.
They need your mind.
They don't.
They do.
Bernard, which one? Which mind?
Debating on the floor. Don't you think the party needs my wisdom if I'm on my feet speaking? Look at this debate they're having about. Imagine, listen to the debate around the four.
The party.
Jogate, Dominic Ayine. Look at the caliber of who stood to debate. Why didn't they just shout? They needed to make reasoned arguments. So they needed to get quality people.
They say what the party wants them to say.
No, but if you listen to the debate carefully, if you listen to Haruna, Kaziel, Ayine, then you listen to Apenyo Makin, Jogati, fine. NPP was saying the same thing, NDC was saying the same thing, but the nuance and the angles they brought was different. Haruna came from a different angle. So I'm saying that, fine, the parties may not think they need their MPs to be too creative. Because for now, we've been put into line.
They don't want you to be creative.
They don't know what kind of parliament we'll have in future. Okay. So, look, Ghanaians voted for 137. There are 111 independents. Let's assume 20 of them win. If 20 of them win, that changes the calculus of who an MP must be. And maybe the parties may appreciate more having MPs of nuance. Because for now, just having just a Massa boys is good for you. Because all you want to do is to put your numbers. But times change. I think that there has to be a gradation. You see, people say our democracy is not there yet. Our democracy will never get there if we keep thinking like this. What will take your democracy there is to change the way you think and the kind of people you vote for.
But that is why I'm saying that, and that you will let us lead other people, the listeners, into further despondency, because
why?
You look at the profiles of persons who are contesting.
But some are good. Some are really good.
Bernard.
The MP for my hometown was a chartered accountant, James Aveji. He's a great guy. He became the head of Public Accounts Committee. Solid guy. His opposite number at the time on the committee was Ajimamenu. He was pretty good at the time in opposition.
That generation...
They are very solid guys.
But will he be returning to Parliament?
Both of them are not.
I'm saying, let us look at the list of persons
Both of them
who are coming in.
Both of them are not.
Look, Bernard, we can clearly see the next 2 generations or 3 generations of MPs who are being cooked in the lab. And you are hopeful?
Yes, I have to be. Because you see, this is the thing.
Hey.
You see, in the same way that people say your media is a reflection of your society, in a sense, your politics also is.
Yes, they are.
Because, so for me, it's not like the people are so great and their politicians are so bad. Somehow, the people who have money to put themselves out there are the ones we have. So we have a mix. But I'm saying if you take the 276, there are some pretty good people in there.
Yes, they are pretty good people outside of the colours. I was telling you last time.
Yes,
Bernard,
it's the colours
I met one person.
Yes,
and at that time you and I had a conversation where I told you that these days I've reached the point where I do not discuss politics
in some circles,
in certain circles,
to spoil the friendship.
Because it will ruin our friendship. Why? Not because I feel my political opinions are better or whatever. I love political debates. You understand?
That's a true vendor.
But the quality of the debate, in my estimation, has reduced.
Charlie.
Because I meet somebody I was in Commonwealth Hall with.
Yeah.
Both of us with supreme intellect.
Yeah.
We are having a conversation about illegal mining. Medical doctor.
And
he's saying, oh, Charlie, I'm media and I'm seeing in the assembly and I'm working. That is not the kind of conversation, and this person is in one political camp.
Yeah.
That is not the kind of conversation I'm expecting to have with that person. This person is on the parliamentary, is going to parliament. And you think that this person, who I know, will go to enter parliament if he does enter it. And I'm expecting some kind of productive conversation from him, irrespective of his know-how on Galamsey. Because at the moment, his party says, this is what we say about Galamsey. That is what he says. But and he holds on to it fastidiously.
Are you sure that view is because maybe that's what he thinks? That's not his
party. No!
Are you saying that if you spoke to him outside politics, he will confess?
Yes!
Then he sold his soul.
But that is what we have.
But that's him. He has sold his soul.
Because it is very valuable.
To what end? To what end? This is what I would say.
A good life on this earth.
Please. This is what I would say.
The
reason he probably holds that view is that there aren't enough people in his camp who think like you do. So if there were more people, you see, I feel like people don't have moral courage to stand up for what they believe. I don't think there's a lot of rigorous debate internally in parties. So somehow somebody who's like a general secretary or a chairman just whip people into line. But see the thing, Godfrey.
Why is that so?
I'm coming. You are in Commonwealth Hall, you are in the JCR, and your mate is now your general secretary and you are an MP. You go to a caucus meeting as a party. You say, now, you get it? Let's debate the thing so that we come up with the best solution. But don't get up and think that because you are the... But most people are cowards. They don't have independence of thought. They can't speak their mind. So like they just go to the meeting and then they say, hey, don't want to keep quiet. I think what makes a party rich is debate. because if you debate the issue soundly internally, when you go out, you have better arguments to use against your opponent. Most leaders don't have the courage to tolerate dissenting views. That's number one. Number two, we are very collectivist in our thinking. Groupthink exists a lot.
Yes.
A lot of people are not trained to think independent. Even the way they mark our exams. If you are similar, you are okay. If you are different, you are some way.
Yeah.
Now, no group can advance without that rich, I call it the marketplace of ideas. It's debate that forges civilization. If you go into every society, history teaches us this, that at every point in time, people have stood up and said, even Protestantism, right? Catholicism was dominating. The Pope was everything. The whole thing was closed out. Some guy says no. He wakes up, writes his thesis, puts it on a wall, and he generates a debate. A whole generation has been changed because of that. All right? So we cannot say that. And I'm saying that, look, guys, fine. For now, you think that when you look at our politics, the people are not that many, the change makers are not that many. I am saying that it's a numbers game. And I like what the lady who texted me said. If you want a third force, support it. Now,
exactly.
If you want internal reform in your party, I always tell professionals, let's assume you're an engineer, you're a medical doctor, you're a teacher in NDC or NPP or whatever party. You need to support people. Do you understand? Form a group within the party to bring sense to the party. So let's assume you're an NPP person.
You end up getting alienated.
No, you need to network. So let's assume you're an NPP guy who may be professionals for something. The thing is that it's what you contribute that determines your place.
Yes.
So sometimes people just want to share their opinion without doing the hard work. So let's take NDC. So let's assume you're an NDC now and you're a professional who's working as a polling station agent. These professionals, if they contribute money to the party will take them more seriously. If they begin to say, this is the professional position on free SHS as professionals in NDC. So, and this is the amount you are contributing to the party. You think when they go for a big meeting, they'll say, because you guys are not national executives, we won't take your views. So it's about what the lady says. Is if you contribute with material resources and with your time, then your ideas will also be useful. But don't sit down in the university and say that you are wiser than us who are working on the ground. And the guy say that because you went to university, we should listen to you. The guy on the ground doing the organizing, it has sense.
Yeah.
So, and for me, those who claim they want to break the duopoly, there's no perfect independent candidate.
Of course.
So, if they are serious about wanting to break the duopoly, you can pick one and say, okay, you are Mr. Allen, you are Mr. Cheddar.
We'll grow you.
As for me and my family, will support you. This is 10,000 to start. Which constituency, which polling station? Yes, sir. But you sit there and listen to it and say, the third party is not serious. You have this, it's almost like you've given up and you want somebody to, you don't have any agency.
You want to be saved.
Nobody's coming to save you.
You want to be saved.
Nobody will.
We want to be saved.
Nobody will save you.
We don't want to do the work.
Which is why I say Ghanaians like Ghanaians.
The NPP and NDC.
Ghanaians love NDC and NPP.
Papa.
They do. They started giving them from 92. They gave them like 89% of the vote. They get to 92, 96. Now they've given them. In fact, they said they've even given them 100.
Because of how close this election will be.
No. And they get up and say, we don't want that duopoly. They are the same. Then they go and go and vote.
People are wedded to. I listened to somebody a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The person was saying that, times are hard or everything, but Charlie, I'd rather suffer, under an NPP government than change it. That's how wedded people are.
But let's categorize the people.
But hold on.
People who say that they won't vote. I always say this. People who say they won't vote, I may be wrong. In a situation like this, they have an affinity for the ruling government. Because
when somebody says they will not vote,
a supporter of the opposition will not say they won't vote. We don't vote saying, you get my point. If you say you won't vote,
what's my motivation for not
if you say you won't vote, it means that maybe your party has deceived you or they've made you feel.
And you can't bring yourself to voting for the other party.
That's the whole point, because you get it. So in fact, somebody called me and said he may consider voting for Alan. As for NDC, he won't vote for NDC. But MPP there, he's not going to queue and vote for NPP. So he said, it's Bernard. MPP there, I won't go and queue and vote for them. He's speaking tree. I may think of voting for Alan, but if they say, as for NDC, I can't vote for NDC. That's the person's view. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that the people, and by the way, for the past few electoral cycles, both parties get their comfortable 43, 44.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe these floating voters are the ones who think that they are independent. But I don't think the independent candidates have, I don't know whether they are appealing to those floating voters or not. There are so many comments to read.
Yeah, but also the question that it needs to be said that having a duopoly is not a bad thing.
Necessarily,
it is not.
It doesn't have to be.
No, I'm just saying a lot of truly good democratic systems
Yeah.
operate a duopoly of some kind.
But at which stage of development?
Exactly. I'm just saying.
That's the question.
No. Let's not have that conversation
That's
yet.
the conversation you have.
Let's not have that conversation yet. Let's establish the fact that a duopoly is a pretty common feature of most democracies.
Advanced
democracies, yes. True or false?
True. Which is why but advance is key.
You don't consider Ghana an advanced democracy?
No.
Why not? After 30 years, 7 elections.
Do you know how long Americans have been voting?
Yes, since for almost 300 plus years.
The reason I say it's not advanced is that you see, and this is more a stages of development issue. A lot of the countries that have done well have had, with the exception probably of, in fact, a long, consistent period of following a particular vision. Do you get it? So I'm digressing. Where they essentially close out. Look at China. There's continuity of governance. There's following of development plans. We see, our duopoly is not bad if institutions are strong. I'll give you an example. When Trump was shot, I watched the hearing for the head of the Secret Service.
Yes, that was a very tough. That was a very tough hearing.
That day, I saluted America. There was an 89-year-old senator or congresswoman. There was another 23-year-old, or different age groups. When they come, they have a folder of what they are coming to say.
The research that has been done
Bro,
for them.
The way they took that woman apart, both sides, so. And I was like, this is Trump, who is supposed to be a divisive figure for the country.
But the point is, if Trump can be shot,
even
Democratic president,
even Democratic MPs were so angry. Did you get it? So this is a democracy that has gone through a certain stage where they've come to realize that when it comes to America, some things are more important than which party I support. All right. Now, I think that because the institution is strong, that division of the pendulum of, for example, support for Israel, it vacillates. America's interests are clear in the Middle East. Okay. Now, what we have not done is we haven't built institutions enough for this pendulum. So the problem is not just that the corruption of the two parties necessarily, is the lack of continuity of important development projects, which is a more serious problem. So I'm saying that if you have a country that's now trying to figure out its development, and every 4 or 8 or whatever number of years, you come and switch it, and then it's not even as if just a new party, but new vision. Look, there are some roads today
that have not been touched.
There were roads that started under Mahama, which for 4 years nothing was done. They started doing it again in 2017. So Flower Pot, as an example, that road should have been finished by 2016, maybe 2017, 2018 at best. For 4 years, nothing happened. And they now began it like 3 years ago. They've still not finished. And I think that's an analogy for the development of the country, where we interrupt our progress. Fine, choice is great. So I'm not saying we shouldn't vote, and I'm not saying the duopoly is bad necessarily, but your argument around duopolies being prevalent is better for a country with strong institutions. Look at what's happening to the EC.
You don't think our institutions are strong?
Oh, come on.
I'm asking you.
They are not.
The EC is not strong?
Look, you can even read around how Afarijan individually, based on his experience, knowledge, and temperament, held this country together for at least 3 elections. Lindsay Whitfield and co have written about this copiously.
Yeah.
So it was, you see, we've been blessed with some individuals who are rare. All right? And what are we doing? Our politicians are rather politicizing institutions that they are it's almost impossible. Look at your EC now. Throwing them to the left, right, depending on who's in power. You can say the same for many institutions. We have not built institutions to make them tenure agnostic. On the contrary, we are pointing party foot soldiers into all kinds of places. So we are damaging the institutions that will give us buffers against the duopoly's excesses. So what the duopoly is doing is that it's contaminating institutions. Look at judiciary. Look at the comments people made up who have been appointed. You hear Justice Atuguba talking about judges' appointments. They've sent it to, it's everywhere, right? They talk about police service. If we don't put some institutions and say these are state institutions that are sacrosanct, let's do our politics around whatever. But when we take our politics to those places, the duopoly is going to worsen our future. And if you can't have dependable institutions, that's what pushes countries to the brink. So this call for stronger institutions is it's a serious issue. If you don't institutionalize the thing, you cannot make progress. You cannot make progress. Let's hear a few more.
Okay, let me read.
Okay, read some comments for us.
Some comments from you.
All right.
Before Fred Javano evicts us from here. Okay, so hello CBS team. I'll keep this brief. For years, Ghanaians have been caught in a cycle of switching between the NPP and NDC. But where has that led us? Doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different outcome is often seen as madness. Good morning. As for me, I don't vote. But now I've seen the party that has the country at heart. And I'm going to vote for the NDC. Because when they come, at least we will see something. Okay? The smaller parties go to sleep after an election, only to emerge in the next election. They don't even have proper structures. How can you govern Ghana without a proper structure? They are not serious. This is what Wafa J Insider Queteman says. We'll keep on voting for the two evils. Good morning, Bernard and team. I think most of us don't know how to support a new force. What do we do? How do we do it? Is it only through money? These are questions that Judy is asking. Pofua from Adenta says, good morning, guys. I suggest the EC should use the number of filed parliamentary candidates of a party or a presidential candidate to determine their qualifications. CBS team, I won't vote for anybody. Yeah. Look at the state of the country. Adams in Tamale tells us, Kwaku, the country's resources are in the hands of the two leading parties. The funds mainly used in oiling the machinery for campaign are sourced from deals made out of occupying political office and private persons who've benefited by way of deals from the duopoly who run this country in turns. By a non-transparent way of funding political parties, where do you expect the others to raise the huge sums of money from when they've not occupied the reins of government? Bernard and team, tired of the duopoly. I'm voting for cheddar. Simple one from someone in Adenta. Okay. Bernardino.
Yes, sir.
Me are tired with the NPP and NDC saga. Both of them fail us. I think I'll vote for cheddar. The guy go shock Ghana brutal. This is from Odadia MFA Komla from Ho.
Okay.
Good morning. Not voting will help me have a clear conscience that I didn't contribute in bringing these corrupt people into power.
Guilty.
You are still guilty.
Whether you vote or not, you are guilty.
Voting for anyone outside the two will mean I'm wasting my vote. I only vote if we change the laws. Majority shouldn't do anything. It should be coalition like others do.
Let me go to Memphis Central. So some very interesting developments as we read earlier. The Electoral Commission has written to disqualify or to seek to disqualify the NDC parliamentary candidate for Memphis Central. Of course, we know that there were 2 rounds of voting initially involving Sarah Kujo and Yao Kwachi Aka. And now, based on some court interlocutory injunction, the Electoral Commission has written to say they've disqualified the lady. Mr. Edwige Tamaklo is a member of the NDC legal team. I think he's the NDC legal team lead. Yes, he's the lead of the NDC legal team. What is their reaction to this development, which has come in at the last minute, and how do they hope to deal with it? Thanks for joining us, Mr. Edwige Tamaklo. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning to your online viewers and listeners.
Wonderful. So when did NDC get to hear of this EC decision? It came in the media yesterday. Should I assume that you also heard it yesterday or heard of it earlier?
Okay. So, Bernard, once again, like I said, good morning. So what happened is that we had our internal primaries on the 13th of May 2023. Thereafter, Mrs. Joanna Jan Kujo won the primaries against the incumbent MP, Peter Kwachi Aka. Obviously, the sitting MP was not enthused with the fact of him losing the primaries. And therefore, in an audio recording, basically instigated the plaintiffs to go to court. Now, we appeared before the judge in the Secondary High Court. When we appeared, he gave an indication that because it's an internal party issue, he will give us the option to explore amicable resolution. So thankfully, in court, we had the former MP for that same constituency in the person of Honorable Dr. Frank Ebu, And so, as a party elder, the judge tasked him to try to have the matter resolved. Now, when the then MP intervened, thankfully, the running mate of the party was in the region. So he joined the other party elders to try to resolve the matter amicably. But it was obvious that there was only one outcome that the plaintiffs wanted, that the election is annulled and Juan disqualified from being the candidate. So based on that, we could not have the matter resolved. So we came back to court. Now, when we came back to court, the judge proceeded to grant an interlocutory injunction, not perpetual. 2, the issue of her disqualification or whether she is eligible to stand is yet to be determined by the trial judge. Now, we appealed that process and applied to stay the process before the trial judge. He disagreed, dismissed the application. So we did a repeat application before the Court of Appeal. Thankfully, the Court of Appeal sits in 2nd as well. Now, we're given the 17th of July to appear to have the application to stay the execution moved. However, a day to the 17th, we were informed that the Court of Appeal cannot sit in 2nd unless October. Now, because of the legal vacation, somewhere around August, the Electoral Commission released the timetable for the opening of nominations for both presidential and parliamentary elections. The party, at its functional executive committee meeting, took a decision that in view of the fact that the plaintiffs want the election of 30th May annulled and rerun, the party would therefore annul that entire election, open fresh nomination. Anybody that is desirous of representing the party can then take forms and contest. So again, we publicly announced it to the rank and file in a letter issued by the General Secretary. Thereafter, the MP, that the Honorable Kwatiaka, picked nomination. Madame or Mrs. Joanna Jan Kujo also picked the form as well, and 2 others. The party had its vetting committee chaired by the vice chairman of the party, with others comprising the Honorable Abla Gomashi, Honorable George Lowe, among others. The party, after the vetting, an incident happened. So at the vetting committee, when those matters were pointed out to the incumbent MP, he took a strategic decision because the matters that came out, some bordered on criminality. So he took a decision that on the basis of this, he will withdraw from the contest freely. Now, having done that, the party was left with only Madame Joanna Jan Kujo. So on the 8th of September, which was a Sunday, the party did a rerun of the election in Amenfi. Curiously, the Electoral Commission supervised that election in Amenfi. And after the polls, the declaration of results was duly certified and signed by the district EC officer in Amenfi, Bernard. Now, on the basis of the election that was rerun on the 8th of September, when the Electoral Commission opened the filing of nominations, the party presented Joanna, whose election was just supervised by the Electoral Commission, as our candidate. The Electoral Commission duly received the nomination form, together with a statutory declaration and her tax clearance certificates. Thereafter, there was an indication that there was going to be the printing of the notice of poll. Obviously, per the balloting that was done, she came second on any ballot paper that will be printed. So, in between, the printing of the notice of poll obviously delayed. So, some inquiries were made behind the scene. Then, the indication was that there are pressure to have the candidates disqualified. So we made an inquiry. What will be the grounds to have her disqualified? It was not forthcoming. So personally, on that should be 15th, Tuesday, I wrote a letter in response to a previous letter from the lawyers of the plaintiff to the AC, clarifying the issues. So for us, we thought this matter had come to its end. Unknown to us, as at the 10th of October, the Electoral Commission, through the Deputy Commissioner, Samuel Tete, had written a letter purportedly disqualifying our candidates from contesting. Bernard, clearly, as far as we are concerned, the Electoral Commission's power to disqualify a person is circumscribed by law. The Electoral Commission cannot act like an octopus and move everywhere looking for reasons on the basis on which to disqualify a candidate whose nomination was duly received by the Electoral Commission, a candidate whose election was duly supervised by the same Electoral Commission on the 8th. Now, the Electoral Commission in this letter, dated the 10th of October, suggests that the basis of the disqualification is a purported injunction from the High Court in 2nd D. Extremely mischievous proposition by the Electoral Commission. Because clearly, the Electoral Commission at all material time was a party to the suit in the 2nd D court. Each time that we appeared before the judge in 2nd D, there was a rep for the Electoral Commission. So the proceedings there at all material times were known by the Electoral Commission. When we annulled that election and decided to rerun it, the Electoral Commission were duly informed and they came and supervised the election in Amenfi. And so for Mr. Samuel Tete to suggest, even remotely, that the attention has just been drawn to an interlocutory injunction is completely disingenuous. Completely disingenuous.
Let me understand something. Are you saying that the basis of the court case was the first election, not the second one?
Absolutely. In fact, the second election, like Bernard have narrated earlier, was done on the 8th of September. The writ, which resulted in the court action, was issued somewhere in March 2024. The injunction that the Electoral Commission is basing its decision on now was issued in May. So after September, when the Electoral Commission itself supervised and conducted the election of the 8th, they knew that we have annulled it and we're rerunning. Because the first election itself, which became the subject matter of the court action, was equally supervised by the Electoral Commission. And so, I mean, to now come and say your attention had been drawn, and on that basis, belatedly, you are describing our candidate as disqualified, beyond the fact that it's legally untenable, smacks of mischief. And Bernard, why do I say so? With respect, the third order from the court, first of all, is an interlocutory order. I want to believe that the Electoral Commission has the benefit of lawyers. Obviously, the chairperson is a lawyer herself. A final decision is different from an interlocutory decision. Where a final decision is made, the court grants perpetual injunction. What it means that the rights of the parties and everything have been completely determined. In this case, no such thing. And you see, the Electoral Commission, obviously advised by lawyers, appreciates the fact that to be qualified to stand for or as a member of Parliament is governed by Article 94 of the 1992 Constitution. No other law. In fact, the Representation of the People's Law, PNDC Law 284, which equally has the same provision, is even considered subsidiary. But the Constitution repeats the same provision. In this case, if you read the letter carefully, the Electoral Commission does not say that our candidate is not qualified by reason of any of the provisions in Article 94. Even more specifically, Regulation 9.1 and 2 of the Public Elections Regulation 2020, CI 127. No such proclamation is made by the Electoral Commission. So we consider this letter written by the Electoral Commission to be extremely, one, done in bad faith. And like my General Secretary indicated, today at 10, the party would formally respond to that letter dated 10th October and indicate what further steps the party will take to have this matter remedied.
But without preempting that, is there a way for the candidate to still get on the ballot? Because I'm asking this, for example, do we know if the notice of poll has already been printed? Because that's a key preamble to this.
Like I pointed out to you, we have it firmly. The same has not been done. The notice of poll, as well as the ballot printing, has not been done for the specific case of Amenfi. And you see, Bernard, what you ought to also appreciate that when it comes to parliamentary election, Parliament can always be constituted by a certain threshold. So, in fact, it is not even the requirement of law that all constituencies must have their parliamentary election on December the 7th. It is not the case. Parliament is deemed constituted with a certain number of parliamentary or members of Parliament. It does not require the entire 76 that will be having in 2024 for Parliament to be deemed constituted. So we will take all the legal processes or measures to have this matter remedied.
We'll leave it here. Thank you for talking to us, Mr. Edwin Jitamaklo, who's the head of NDC's legal team. 9:29 City Breakfast Show. Watch this space. More on this, of course, after the show itself. A couple of quick announcements. We have more of your voice notes. This morning, I'm really happy to say you have spoken. And it's not very easy to get to some sort of consensus, but at least the variety of views expressed are welcome.
Hello, Bernard and your team. Concerning who I will vote for, I personally have been disappointed so much with this NPP government. They have made the system so hard. The economy, it's just too hard for us. High cost of living and others. And when I compare NDC and NPP, and currently John Mahama and Bawumia, I think I would prefer a change all over. But in this case, if even I vote for an independent candidate like Cheddar or Alan Tremante, it will be a very good option, but the possibility is that majority of Ghanaians may not give the vote to them and they will lose. So why will I throw my vote away? So I would prefer John Mahama this time, because comparatively with Bawumia, he's better. Because Bawumia has been in government, in charge of the economy, but the economy is so bad. So that is my take. John Mahama will be preferred. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Bernard and Tim. On the third force issue, trust me, just look at our two various parties, the strong parties that we have, NDC and NPP. When they go in opposition for long, see what happens when they come back to power. The first 4 years is to amass wealth. They have to use the nation's money, sort of pay their debts that they have used their money to for the campaigns and all that. And so any third force that is coming is going to use the nation's money to beef up the party, make the party a really third force, a stronger one at that. And that will mean they will not concentrate on making the country productive or doing anything for the good of the country. So third force party, no, I'm not sure we need any third force. Thank you.
Maybe I
need to be educated more on this, because I don't understand why we should.
Good
morning, Bernard. I'm Kingsley from New Lagos. I think the NDC and the NPP have just become like the lesser of two evils anytime we have to vote. I personally have decided not to vote because no other party or no other contestant has convinced me enough that they would make a positive change when they are given the mandate, right? So it's difficult to decide who to vote for. The closest I would have voted for if he was standing would have been Dr. Indu. I'm not saying he's the Messiah, but he was the closest to salvation that I have noticed. And it's sad that the two parties that are the biggest in the country have never really done anything to convince Ghanaians that they would turn things around. I always say that if any of these parties would really have the power and then make a positive impact, I would confidently say that that party would rule forever. And it's something one of these parties should really think about, because it's just sad, and sometimes I get so discouraged about the prospects of us as a people and as a country.
Hello, Bernard and team. Good morning to you guys. In fact, you guys have been doing a good work for Mother Ghana, and we, the listeners, are very proud of you. I monitored you day in, day out, and like my dad is always at City TV, and now ChannelOne TV. I always monitor and like all your programs. With regards to the voting of any independent or the two political parties, I think the two political parties, especially the NPP and the NDC, are the biggest party, and other smaller political parties, let me put it in a way, are all just doing maybe to enrich their CV. That is my thought. And I also think the two political parties will be the lead to be going ahead in future, because CPP would have been an, let me say, alternative, because looking how our previous election they have performed abysmally, and I don't think they can. I think maintaining the NPP government will be the best, because so far they've done well, particularly in the northern part of the country, that is Tamale and its surrounding. And Bernard, I also want to remind you, as we were talking about independent, Salga South, then it was in northern region. Boniface Awaka Sadiq won as an independent before he joined NPP. So, and also the late Hawa Yakubu also won an independent. That is the brief history I have for you this morning. Thank you very much. My regards to you all. And I also say a belated happy birthday to myself. Baba, this is Babamu from Tamale. Thank you very much. Good morning to you.
Hello, Bernard. Good morning. Yes, you see this movement? Nobody shouldn't confuse himself. Nobody even look anywhere. NDC street. Yes, because we are all here. We all see them all pass. Yes, we see the government all. We see in this time how things were. We see NPP time things were. So nobody, you are not even supposed to tell you do this and you do. And this is straight. Correct.
All the while making a mess. Yet all we hear them say.
Yeah, good morning, Bernard and his squad. Good morning to all the lovely listeners of CTFM. Yes, I will vote for NDC because we all wanted NPP to come and fix the problem that NDC couldn't fix. That's why we voted for Nanado. But when Nanado came, what are we saying? It's much worse than what NDC was doing. So I'll prefer Mahama to come and continue his developmental work and infrastructure development, because I believe that if Mahama were to complete his 8 years earlier, like Ghana would have been better off than how we are right now. Because if I compare Mahama and Nanado, Mahama was more honest to Ghanaians as compared to Nanado, because all the filthy things that we said about Mahama, I thought by now the man should have been behind bars. But it was all fallacy, it was all campaign shenanigans that NPP used to come to power in 2016. So I can't see myself voting for Baumia and Napo, because I don't see any competent person among the two of them, no. And it saddens me that NPP has become so low, has sunk so low, that someone like Napo, who talks loosely, is now their running mate. Because I see NPP to have more credible and more matured people in the party who could have assisted maybe Dr. Mahamudu Baumia. But bringing Napo is way low for me. So I will vote for NDC, yes.
Two hands are hard over to a blind date. Or maybe not, because how do we choose the lesser of two evils when there's very little difference between both evils? Or do we elect?
Good morning, Bernard. I belong to the group that will abstain. I voted NPP all my life, but I think this time around I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't vote because it's become clear that politics have become an avenue for making money. People go into politics primarily to enrich themselves, you see. So they go in there not to develop Ghana, not to sacrifice, not to serve, but to make money. It's clear. People enter politics with nothing, men of straw, and within a year, they really have a lot of money. And the average Ghanaian is unable to make such money over 20 years. So why should I go and queue and make my compatriot rich?
All
right, so those were your voices. Bringing us your thoughts about a third force, independent candidates, choice outside the duopoly, and the rest of that. 7 weeks to elections. More on these in subsequent programs.